What's up, fam? Welcome back to Leveling Up with CMH. I'm your host, CMH, founder of StartupU, where we help people take ideas and turn them into revenue-generating businesses. Before we get started today, guys, make sure you like this video, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell for notifications. If you don't hit the bell for notifications, it's likely you won't get updated. Sometimes hitting subscribe means you're just not going to be shown new videos. If you want to see new videos specifically around podcasting, entrepreneurship, more product reviews, etc., make sure you hit that bell for notification. And don't forget to drop me a comment below and let me know what you think about the SHURE MV7. All right, so first we're going to talk about the microphone itself and kind of my general impressions of it, and then we're going to get into a little bit of a sound test, right? So right now you're listening to the SHURE SM7B, which is kind of like Shure's flagship product. This is the one that's most famous. I've done several episodes where I'm comparing a lot of microphones to this one specifically. This one is considered the holy grail for podcasting, and many of the most notable podcasters use this microphone. One of the things that I really like about this MV7, just at first glance, is you'll notice the similarities. I mean, it looks very, very similar to the SHURE SM7B, but there's also some added bonuses that I feel like they really learned a lot from the feedback from the SM7B. Most notably, you'll see that this microphone has, it's a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit more compact, easier to travel with, which this one's, the SM7B is really not. But also, too, what you'll notice is on the bottom side here, you've got some things that the SM7B doesn't come with, right? So you've got, obviously, you've got your XLR port, but you also have a micro USB port as well, right? So one of the issues that I've mentioned in my reviews of the SM7B is that you pretty much have no choice. You have to go XLR. And a lot of podcasters, when they're first starting out, going XLR really isn't a viable option because then it requires other pieces of equipment. So I use a soundboard called the Rodecaster Pro. It's a product from Rode. But your computer can't take a direct XLR cable into it. Some cameras can, but your computer can't do that. So there are other components that have to be bought for this microphone to work the way that it should. And it's already a $400 microphone. So given that this microphone's over $150 cheaper and you have those options, I think that's a real awesome value add, because here's the deal. Maybe you start with your USB going directly into your laptop because you're a new podcaster, and then eventually you graduate onto XLR because you want to get that really crisp audio sound that XLR provides that is far superior to what USB provides. I will tell you this. Most people cannot tell the difference between XLR and USB. It takes a really attuned listener to be able to really hear the difference. But for all intents and purposes, it's going to be so microscopic in terms of the difference that you yourself probably won't notice, but your audience, more specifically, won't notice either. I'll notice because I've been doing this for a long time, but most people won't notice. So that's something to really keep in mind. But when you get really particular and really picky about your audio sound, you're going to want to upgrade to XLR at some point. So this gives you the option to do both, and I think that's a huge add that the SM7B just does not have. Next, you'll see you have your audio port here where you can plug in your headphones, right? So that's a really nice addition that, again, the SM7B just does not have, right? So you'll be able to plug in your headphones. So if you're doing a podcast, right, you can just pop that in here and rock and roll. If I do that, so I have headphones here that I use from SM7B, but I have to go into the Rodecaster Pro. So yet again, I'm really relying on that piece of equipment versus this. Again, this is all I need is just this unit itself, right? And I'm ready to rock and roll. Another thing I noticed that you have various settings, right? So you have settings under here on the bottom side of the microphone itself. You can actually, looks like you can actually manage a lot of these things on the underneath of the microphone here. I haven't played with this yet, so literally I'm doing this video as I'm first impression. I didn't want it to be tainted or whatever. So what I'll do is as we plug it in and we go through, I'm going to play around with some of these settings so that you can see what they do and how they work and how they function. But again, that's something that the SM7B just does not provide. If you look at this microphone, it's very sleek. And I will say I prefer the sleekness over the MV7. I think that some of these things, like I don't necessarily love that Shure had put their logo on the side of the microphone. I kind of like the clean aesthetic of the SM7B. But I do like that this at least gives you those options because, again, you don't need those extra pieces of equipment to make this microphone work the way that it should. Overall, so one thing to keep in mind, I'm showing you this here. So the mic stand was a mic stand that we already owned, right? But it's very easy. You just screw this off. So this is what will come out of the box for you. Is basically just, give me a second, we're getting there. It's just this, right? So you can get these mic stands. I think we got this on Amazon. Very, very cheap. You want something with a very sturdy base. this is actually relatively heavier than it looks. That's going to make sure that it holds the mic and it doesn't fall over. You don't want your microphone to get damaged because these are expensive. Even at $250, this is still an expensive microphone. So you want something that is sturdy and is going to hold it in place, and this really does the trick. Again, I think we got on Amazon for like 15 or 20 bucks, no big deal. So what I'm going to do now, guys, is keep in mind, listen to this, right? And make sure if you need to scroll back and listen to what I'm talking about. This is the audio from my SM7B. As I switch to the MV7, I want you to notice the difference. So we're going to go XLR SM7B. We're going to go with the MV7, same settings that I have set up with the Rodecaster Pro, and then I'll also give you a sound sample with the USB directly into my computer. So I'll be right back. I'm going to switch the cords, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, we are back, and I'm now on the MV7. Okay, so one of the things that I did notice is that when I plugged in my XLR cable, these lights on the underneath for the volume did not turn on, which was interesting. So what I did was, just to make sure that I was doing it right, is I plugged in the USB cable and it pops up, and I'll show you guys in a second how it works because I think it's really cool. So what it knows is that this, guys, they really did a good job. I'm very impressed. When they know you're using an XLR, they know that you're going to have a soundboard or something that you're using to control your audio settings. So those lights, that function does not turn on, all right? The only time that function turns on is when the microphone can detect that you're going into a computer, in which case you're not going to have the ability to adjust your settings. So that's very, very, very cool. So in terms of plugging it in, obviously you just have your XLR cable right in the bottom. I've got the microphone right in front of me. It's very, very simple. Obviously you could put it on a mic arm if you wanted to, like the one that I have, and I think it would look relatively similar to what I have with the SM7B. It's just a little bit smaller. So take note of the sound, right? Take note of the sound that you heard from previously versus what you're hearing now. My settings are exactly the same. I did not change anything on my Rodecaster Pro. So what you're hearing is a true sound comparison. You may need to make some adjustments to adjust for the different pieces of equipment, but I didn't want to change anything so you have that variable kind of consistent so you can see truly what an actual sound comparison between those two microphones sounds like. Now what I'm going to do, I'm gonna hit quick pause again, and I'm actually gonna go over and switch this to the USB, and we're gonna talk about what those settings actually do underneath because I think it's an awesome, awesome value add for this specific piece of equipment. Okay, so the biggest thing you're gonna notice here, and I'll give you some close-up shots of this while I'm going through and talking about this, but you'll see underneath how this lit up when I plugged in the USB. So you've got all these lights underneath, and what's cool about it is that as you hit whatever sound adjustments you want to make, you can pick between the headphone sound, and then you can adjust that with just sliding your finger, which is awesome. So you can just slide it like that, and then if you want to change your actual sound of your microphone, you can also do that as well. So you're probably hearing me get a little bit quieter as I do this, but that's a really cool feature. You can also mute the microphone. So there's a button here you can hit mute. I won't do that because I will literally not be able to hear me. But that is an awesome, awesome feature that you can play around with and figure out like what's the good sound level for your specific voice without having. It's almost like they took some of the basic. Now, don't get it twisted, right? The Rodecaster Pro has some awesome features that this is not going to have built into the actual microphone itself. Not just level and gain, right? Which are pretty much the same thing. But you're going to have you have the de-esser, you have a lot of different features within the Rodecaster Pro where you can change it according to your specific voice. And your tone of your voice, whereas this isn't going to have that. But like I said, if you're just starting out as a podcaster, or if you're an intermediate podcaster and you don't want to have to spend $1,000+, which is what I have sunk into equipment for my setup, this is more than what you need, right? I think you're gonna notice this is gonna be a great audio sounding product. You might not sound like you're built for radio just yet, but I think what you're gonna find is that it's a major upgrade. And I think probably, if I'm being really realistic here, you're going to sound better than 95% of the podcasters that are out there just because of the quality of what Shure provides and because of the different setting features that this microphone comes with. So I'm holding it just because my desk is a little bit not conducive. Like I'd have to kind of bend over a little bit. So again, that's why I choose a mic arm, because I can adjust it how I want. But if you have your desk where you can lower your chair or what have you, you could easily put this microphone right in front. One thing I have noticed with Shure products is that you do have to get a little bit closer to them than other microphones, but I like that it automatically comes with your little pop filter here, right? So this comes naturally, whereas, or rather out of the box. Whereas you see some of the other microphones, this is actually the Shure SM58. It doesn't come with it already built on, so you have to find one. It's not that big of a deal. You just pop it on and you're good to go, right? No big deal. and they're only a few bucks. But I like that this one is made specifically for it. It looks custom because it is. It's made specifically with this microphone, and it really looks clean. Whereas some of the other ones, when you pop that on, they fit, but, watch, you can kind of, it just kind of moves around and wobbles and stuff like that. And it's fine. You just have to constantly make sure that it's on there right, and that's just not ideal. So I love that this is on here. It's a very clean look, and it looks like it just flows aesthetically into the microphone itself. So hope you guys like the sound of this. Again, go back and listen to other pieces of this video. Go back and listen to the SM7B. Go back and listen to the MV7 on the XLR, and then listen to the USB. See if you can figure out what you like, what you dislike, and which one's going to be best for you. The good thing is that out of the box, you're going to have everything that you need to make this thing work. Whereas, some of the other microphones, again, you won't have that option. So I love that you have options with this microphone. I think you get tremendous value out of it. And I think it's going to be a great, great, great piece of equipment for you to have an awesome, stellar sounding podcast. All right, guys, if you like this video, make sure, again, to hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get updated when we have any new video. You guys know that video is out. Make sure to leave me a comment below. What do you think about the SHURE MV7? Which one did you like the best? Which one did you think was going to be the best one for you, right? And don't forget to check out StartupU, where we help people take their ideas and turn them into revenue-generating businesses. And I'll see you guys in the next one.